my workbench that I currently do my projects on had pretty much reached the end of its life cycle, so I decided to fabricate a new one. I needed it to be folding because space is a premium where I work, and I wanted it to be relatively heavy duty just because I wanted a nice stable base to do my projects on. First thing I did was come up with a rough design in Fusion 360, so cue background music. With the design finalized, I took a trip to the hardware store to purchase the raw materials. That's 3 pieces of timber and an MDF top that I would later replace with plywood. The timber goes 95mm by 45mm and has a length of 2.6 meters. I had to buy a 4th one eventually just because I had initially miscalculated the amount of timber I would need. With the marking done, my first realization was that bevel cuts was not going to happen on my miter saw. Didn't have the capacity, so I had to go with straight cuts instead. After what seemed like an eternity of sanding file, I eventually got something that resembled a round top on my leg. I by no means claim to be a carpenter, but this was the best that I could do with the tools that I had. Once that was complete, it was a case of putting the frame together. right about here is where I reach the maximum torque on my drill. So what you are about to witness is a spanner wrapped in a tea towel to give me enough grip to get the screw through. I'm pretty sure Formula One teams use the exact same method. With the holes in the crossbeam and the blocks drilled, I needed to add the wood inserts, which I did with the aid of the pillar drill, giving me a nice straight path into the wood. I added 3 coats of wood varnish to give the frame a nice medium oaky look, and then got some scratch pads from the local pound shop to ensure the legs had a good, firm, grippy contact with the ground. I put the tabletop onto the frame and measured the offsets to make sure it was in the correct place. I hid the screws on the worktop by filling in the countersink gap with some wood filler before sanding it down. This gave the worktop a nice smooth finish. Painting the top coat eventually became a bit of a chore, so I brought in some child labour.
Mama, look what I did. Mama, look. Just look.
The recoats of paint later and the worktop was pretty much done. I added some varnish to help prevent scratching. I don't expect the finish to last long, however, given the nature of work I intend to do. I mounted the crossbeam slightly closer to the top of the frame, hoping it would make carrying the workbench easier than what it was, as it weighs in the region of 25 to 30 kilos, which is good for the sturdiness of the workbench, but not so good for my L1 to L5 discs. Carrying the workbench via the crossbeam was still awkward, however, so eventually I added a handle to the top of the crossbeam, and this made carrying the workbench much easier. And with that, the workbench was complete. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.